Dear Earthmates, we are visiting René Liebenthal. Have I pronounced your name correctly?
It's correct. Hello, Earthmates. Thank you, Tarek, for this
Thank you.
opportunity. Yes, my my name is French. My family name is German. I live in Argentina. We speak Spanish.
Wonderful, wonderful. Uh, and we, you and I, we met thanks to PEN International, the International Advisory Committee, right?
Right.
Organized, invited by our mutual friend, the great Chilean poet Herman Rojas,
Mhm.
and we I'm thankful to him, and also of course Tanya. Uh,
A
she
great
has
team we have. A great team
yes,
we
yes, a
have
great team.
in the Writers for Peace Committee of PEN International. Really.
That's right. That's right. So, how did you meet Penn? I mean, how did your life and Penn come together?
Honestly, I developed my career, my life as a sourcing and logistics manager in a chemical company, mostly in multinationals. Um, and like 30 years ago, I'm not baptized. I'm not uh, closely related um, to any strong belief. I am more an agnostic and have a Taoist attitude. My mother's Chinese, and but am married to a lady who has very strong beliefs, and because of that, we brought up our children within a Lutheran community, the German Lutheran Community in Buenos Aires, and I belong to the board of this church 30 years ago. And in that opportunity, it was like 20 years I was very active in that community. I wrote articles for the newspaper, for the newsletter we had, and biblical comments. They accepted me as I am, and they accept my biblical comments. So, um, um, on a yearbook, we had about uh, opportunity to think. I think is the way it was presented. So for each day, you had a biblical comment and somebody who had to produce a thought that would help you, the reader, uh, get into the day with a more peaceful mind. And I participate in that yearbook, and this is my relationship with writing. Otherwise, as a private matter, um, I, I I write haikus as a um, meditation way, a way to meditate, to find my inner peace. But it's not something I studied or I publish. I do not intend to publish. It's something private for me. Uh, I'm interested in politics, so I was aware of Penn's presence in the world and in Argentina. Um, Argentina is a relatively young country with a history of military coups. We had in the 19th century, this country started to develop strongly. At the start of the 20th century, we were a very rich country, and then we lost track of the good ways, and we had a series of military regimes, and our political um, ethic or culture turned to a kind of populism, and we're suffering the results of 80 years of populism, and now for 40 years we had democracy, and we are now in an electoral year. We will have presidential elections in October, and the freedom of speech has been challenged several times in Argentina during my lifetime. So I was aware of an organization working to defend the right of expression of the press and writers. And 2 years ago, when I was kind of detaching myself from my profession, I thought I would get closer to PEN and became a member. And since last year, I support the local PEN Center with their English correspondence for once. And I participate in the Writers for Peace advisory board with you, as you mentioned, led by German Rojas. So this is my connection with PEN.
Wonderful. And I mentioned Tanya Tuma. She is one of the most industrious and fruitful people I've met as a novelist, editor, and she has also devoted her life. And many colleagues, many people in the world, in addition to their main fields of interest or related to, they are trying to do good things. And this is, for me, spiritual and material are together. I do not divide life into spiritual life and material life.
Yeah.
I'm an atheist. I prefer to call myself a naturalist. There is nature. I find it interesting and rich and productive enough. And PEN is one of the founders of the Earth civilization in progress, I think. When I say Earth civilization, I mean the higher civilization based on the awareness of the limits of our planet.
Correct.
And the possibilities of synergy. When a few minutes ago, when I looked at myself in the mirror, this is kind of blue. And I recall that the Argentinian flag is blue and white. Is it right?
Right, correct. Light blue and white.
Light blue and white. So pardon?
Stripes.
Yes. Yes. So I didn't change my T-shirt. It's
okay.
in harmony. And the thing is, when I was young, well, to make it short, flags are important, and people have struggled for one reason or another. And so I cannot underestimate the importance of flags while in favor of a global unity and global society. When I think of Argentina, like many people, of course, the great football culture, Maradona and Messi, of course, wonderful. And but football has something positive, I think. I mean, what do you think of the football culture?
Look, interesting. You mentioned Maradona and Messi. Shall we talk about football, soccer for Americans? it is a national passion. I think it is a modern way to have the people of a country identify with a flag, with a symbol, and that is not leading to war. It happens on a field. It happens in a field. You lose, you win, you're proud, you're angry, you shout, you somehow discharge all your energy there. And true, in Argentina, for the time I have been living, football is the number one sport. I'm not a good player. Most of the times I played as a goalkeeper, so it talks a lot about I'm not good playing. I'm tall, and so I was a good goalkeeper. But Maradona was a model. We had many very important players in the international level, but Maradona was the first one in this society we are in, which is a consumption society where images are so important. And Maradona was a role model for Argentinians in the 80s. In my own opinion, he was a genius, a wonderful player, but he was surrounded by the wrong people. He was a very simple person. He came from a shanty town, and he grew rich while a teenager. And he grew an international leading figure in his early 20s. And he left his home country, his home. He developed his career in Europe. He was accompanied by his parents, I believe with a brother also, but he went into drugs, had family problems, had children with different women, and then did not recognize them. He was the wrong role model for Argentinians. Spending the money without responsibility, his own money, being very aggressive in his wording. He was very, that's an English word, he was smart and very clever in using the wording in Spanish. So he coined very many phrases that people in Argentina use. Probably internationally, the most known one is when he, Argentina and I cannot hear you.
Sorry, God's hand?
Exactly. No, Argentina and England England have political differences, and he happens to make a goal with, well, we will never know if it was with his head or with his hand, and he said it's God's head, it's not me. And this is, so he has several of those. No, witty is the word, the English word. He was very witty, sometimes foul spoken, but witty. And to me, he was a genius in his play, but otherwise a bad example. And even while passing away, he ended because of illness. His heart was weak, and he had cerebral problems.
Sad.
And the doctors cheated on him. I mean, he was even a victim of his popularity. He was very rich and powerful. President wanted to meet him. He met the local president. He went to Cuba to meet Castro, and had strong opinions in favor of the system in Cuba. But this was all confusing and intellectually very weak. And the people who surrounded him until the last hour were admiring him and using him, and that is not a good example.
Tragic.
Tragic.
So
He's a tragic person. Yeah.
yes, he would have been a good poet, it seems, actually, when you look at him with his wits and, you know,
Yes.
we lost the poet there. Maybe he would have been a member of PEN if he had been with right people. You know, who knows?
Yeah, good.
Was creative,
Good point.
witty, good with words.
Yeah.
What else? Why?
Probably he will be the subject of a very dramatic novel, even an opera.
Good idea. Now, I have a friend from Argentina. He was raised in Argentina, a great composer. He has symphonies and operas. One of them is our co-product, Dancing Anna Frank. Daniel Galay, he lives in Israel, born in Buenos Aires. And actually, you have brought a very interesting topic for an opera. Very interesting. If an opera comes out, you will be mentioned, certainly. And
the other figure is Messi, right? Is currently, I think, the most important player today, conquering the American market. He's a consumption product, but he's a genius. He no doubt, but he's not only genius, he is the product of hard work. He was a child who had this ability to play football very correctly, but a great understanding of the strategy on the ground. But because of a hormonal problem, he was going to be too small to be a professional. So the parents seek support to get a treatment for him, and so he came to an European team in Spain, Barcelona, where he developed his junior career and then his career as a professional. So he's brilliant, right? But he got to the place where he is now, recognized by everybody as a product of a development, of a process that took him 10 years and more. Always brilliant, but not so excellent. Now he's excellent, right? And now he's reaping a lot of money because of his qualities. And because of him, I'm learning about the business of soccer. I think it's not so much a sport anymore, more like a spectacle. And there's a lot of different businesses around the idea of 22 people playing a soccer game, and it's a lot of money.
I think there's a book, the title of which is Soccernomics, Soccer Economics.
Yeah, Soccernomics. Yeah.
Soccernomics.
But I believe he's a better role model for the Argentinians, and he's recognized over the world. I understand even in Bangladesh and China, at least they sell a lot of tricos of Messi, but people recognize him as a role model from somebody who was not that dirt poor as Maradona, but he came from the interior of a poor country as Argentina and developed into a world star. And he has been faithful to his family. He has not been into drugs, and he's always very open to development. He takes some risk and changes from one place to the other. With sometimes when he moved from Spain to France, for example, when he moved from France, not to Saudi Arabia, where he was offered $1,000 million for a player. No, he went to United States for less money. I cannot remember how much, but he was not only following the money, he was trying to find a better place for his family and where he would end his career more comfortable. So he's reasonable and very smart. And I believe, I hope this also will have a good impact in the local people and the way we understand this. Argentina is a very richly endowed country, very badly managed. So how we should change our culture to more work, more individual entrepreneurship, and less expecting the government to give us what we need or what we wish, or what we believe we need in a wish.
I see.
Deserve.
Jesus is among the wise people I respect, and when I look at religions, I try to understand what's relevant for today and tomorrow in terms of wisdom. And so I have, for example, tried to extract certain ideas and suggestions attributed to Jesus Christ, and I've written a dialogue between him and myself.
Oh.
Yes, we meet in Jerusalem, and he invites me to supper. And I say to him, well, this will be yours. He says, old man, come to my supper. I said, no, this will be something private. So anyway, and in Turkish culture, I don't know the other places where Islam is dominant. The Islam in Turkey is quite different from the Islam in Arab countries, although they are trying to make it similar to, anyway. So Isa in Turkish, and I think Arabic, Jesus is Isa, and many Muslims give Isa, the name Isa, to their sons. Also Moses, Musa, to their sons. So in Islamic culture, Moses, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, as well as Maryam, are regarded highly.
Yeah, Abraham.
Yes, Abraham. And this may be interesting to Western, especially Christians. I mean, maybe most Christians do not imagine that Muslims would give the name of Jesus to their sons. Or but people who will listen to our conversation, maybe some of them do not know that in Islam, Jesus was not crucified, according to Islam. He was sent for crucifixion, but God, at the last moment, replaced him. And Jesus was a prophet, respected as a prophet, but not as a son of God or God.
I understand. Yes.
And of course, and many Christians that I have met, many friends, they do not know that Son of God was a term common in the Middle East, meaning someone whose father is not known. So that was a common expression. It was nothing new.
In Europe,
uh, in the Middle East.
the Middle East. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's another thing. Um, uh, well, I remember the crazy Falkland War, and I am looking forward to the disestablishment of the United Kingdom officially, and I'm looking forward to the renaming of it as UR, United Republic. I mean, because I really think no matter how democratic a regime is, as long as it's a monarchy, there's a family, you
Mm.
know, it's not democratic. Eh, Republic is not sufficient to become a democracy, but monarchy, no matter how democratic is essentially anti-democratic. So I'm looking forward to, I mean, why should one family have this authority and leadership? I mean, why? What's the
Huh.
meaning behind it?
Yeah, I fully
So
understand. I fully understand. Uh, uh, Democracy, Republican democracy is a development from monarchy, but the United Kingdom, you still have a king who at least has to accept the result of an election. But I don't think he has the power to not accept the result of an election. And
thanks to the power of the struggles of the people
yes,
for
of
hundreds
course,
of
of
years.
course, yes. But on the other hand, for what I have visited in Norway or in Holland, I had an aunt who was Dutch. She uh, she was married, but they were childless. And I visited them when I was a teenager, and she was already a grand lady. And so I visited her for tea in Germany. She was living in Germany, and in the living room, she had a picture of the Queen at that time, and the family of her. She had 2 or 3 children. So I asked her in my ignorance. I asked her, "Oh, who is this? This is not our family, no? No, no, she's the Queen of Holland." And so to her, the Queen was a national symbol. She belonged to a community that had a queen, and the queen was a kind of a motherly figure. I assume as a virgin. I believe the Virgin Mary to a Catholic is also a motherly figure who you can resort as a you're in despair and you need some kind of comfort and you have somebody who will be ready to listen to you and help you, right? And I think this is the development. I think some countries, some people have the history of having a king and or queen, and they have had the wisdom to integrate them into the modern life, and I think it's a good thing. Um, but it's a development. You cannot, you shouldn't accept monarchy as a as a modern state of government. It's not.
Yeah,
It belongs to another time.
that's right. And uh, what do you think about today's world, or what are some of your wishes for the future? And my classical, traditional last question, one of, apart from whatever you wish to express, is what would you recommend? Well, what do you suggest to young Earthmates?
um, I'm I'm concerned. I think we are witnessing the nature resisting our culture, what we produce. On the other hand, I'm an optimist by nature. I believe we should be proud about the culture and technology we developed and achieved. With this, we also acquired responsibilities. And I believe it's time to take this responsibility. We have behaved as youngsters, and now we are grown up, and we see there's a limit, and the limit is probably very close. Perhaps not for us and as persons, but the next generation will get to the limit. We are already suffering, but the next generation will have to take very dire decisions if we do not act now. So we are in our generation, or today, we are in the responsibility, that's my belief, of managing the resources we have, the technology, the knowledge, to control this aimless consumption, the over-demand of the natural resources, learn to live in a more simple way, be aware of the limits and our responsibility to the next generation. To achieve this, what else? Culture, education is the way. I don't think the humanity will end. I still believe we can change history, or the trend of history, right? I don't think nature will end. Mankind may end, right? But maybe cockroaches take over, or ants, or what? Nature will continue. But we as a humankind, I believe we achieve a degree of knowledge that gives us this task to now learn to control. And in this, we can resort to the Bible, to the Genesis, and say, well, we are here to, God has asked, if he exists, he put us in the driving place, right? And we have to manage. And it's about us if we continue on Earth with our Earthmates or not, or we just disappear and we are part of a history, and someone else will continue writing the history. So I'm worried, but I believe it's a challenge, and the tool we have to change the direction is through culture, through ethics, the ethical development, and this change you get through education.
Yes. Thank you. And intercultural communication and synergy.
Of course.
Intercultural marriages, etc. They are very important. And of course, Latin American literature is a very rich treasure. Yes. Great writers, and one of them is Borges, one of my favorite authors. Yes. And I remember this interview with Borges by Susan Sontag, and she asked him, if you were on an island by yourself, which one book would you take with you? And he says, A History of Western Philosophy by Bertrand Russell. She says, but it's a superficial book. And Borges says, I'm a superficial reader. Now this is wisdom.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Borges is my favorite. I don't read much, but if since high school, here you read Borges in high school. You start reading Borges in high school, and since high school, I have pleasure reading him. And currently I'm taking a seminar about Borges because till so today my reading of Borges was like superficial, and I was delighted by his way of working with the language, right? And his overall knowledge about history and antiques and so on. And now I'm learning to enjoy his literary tricks, right? And so it's even a higher pleasure now to read him.
He whispers smiling.
Yeah.
That's his style, I think. Whisper. And
Yeah.
about 40 years ago, I wrote something about one sentence in one of his stories. I would like to send it to you. It's just I and for 15 pages, I think. I focused on one sentence. He could have written it this way, that way, etc.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by him. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Book of Sand.
The Book of Sand. He's also a great poet. Has essays. Has no novel. He even wrote haikus.
Interesting. And the time is almost up. I'm sorry to say. Thank you so much, dear René. We're together.
Yes, we are together.
And
thank you, Tariq, for giving me this opportunity. And
thank
you. Let's work towards a better world.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Bye bye.